Your seats. And it's true, you guys are a rowdy bunch, and I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's good. Well, I want to take a moment and share with you a little bit about a part of my story that you don't know. I have actually been married for 15 years. Can you believe that? 15 years. I don't actually feel like I'm old enough to be able to say that, but I've been married for 15 years, and my wife and I, we met at Journey's shoe store in the mall, all right? We went to the mall, and I had broken some shoes. I had spent $100 on some shoes, which was a mistake, and within a week, the heel, came off the back of it, and I was like, you know what? $100, in today's money, that was like $400. I'm taking this back, So I go back into the store, and I see Courtney, my future wife, and I had this amazing pickup line. She was back behind the counter, beautiful girl, and I knew her maiden name was Helm because I was aware of her family from our church. And so I went up to her and I said, "You're a Helm, huh?" And she said, "Yeah, and you're a small bone?" I was like, "Yeah." And it was pretty awkward, not gonna lie, It wasn't great. Don't take notes from me, gentlemen. But anyway, we ended up speaking for the next 20 minutes. We had this amazing conversation, and I loved it so much that as I was walking out of the shoe store, I knocked over a full display of shoes. So anyway, I get out of there, and she says, when I was in there, "I can't help you with the shoes," and obviously we all know once you walk out with them, you can't return with them, that whole thing. So I was at church the next Sunday, and once again, Courtney comes up. This is the second time I've seen her. She comes up and she's got this bag that she's holding, and she says, "Hey, I'm so sorry that we couldn't help you with your shoes. I just felt like I needed to give you some." So she gives me the shoes, and I'm sitting there going, okay, this is my moment. She's going to stay and she's going to linger. You know what I'm saying? And she walks off. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating. So I get home, and I look at the shoes, and the shoes are the wrong size. And so I did what any other, person would do, and that is, I Facebooked her. And I got online, and I was like, yeah, hey, so these shoes are the wrong size, when do you work next? And I'll come in and we can exchange the shoes. And so, needless to say, I go back in, and we have another wonderful conversation, and she's my dearest friend. She's my greatest achievement, that she stayed with me for 15 years. And it's an amazing thing, yep. We now have 4 kids, all right? I got a 12-year-old, I got a 10-year-old, I got an 8-year-old, and I got a 4-year-old, all right? The oldest 3 are all boys, and I got a little baby girl, all right? So it's a wonderful thing. But what I've realized raising kids, and just kids as a whole, I've started to ask myself a lot lately, what is legacy? What is legacy? Is it the name above a building? Is it a company that you built? And I think that legacy is the soul that you invest in. And I find that you have the most impact when you invest in the souls of children. And so, because of statements like that, we got offered to go on a little bit of a missions trip, and I said to Courtney, hey, we don't need to just go ourselves. We need to take at least our oldest boy. And so we have an opportunity to go to the Dominican Republic, and we get there, and we go to our first project, and we get to see all the work that this organization is doing. And one of the girls in the project, her house was just down the way, and they had said, hey, why don't we go with this little girl to see her house? And this little girl was a beacon of light. I mean, she just had the biggest smile, the most joy. It was a wonderful thing to see her. And so we get into her house, and she wants to show us her house. Her house is probably 12 by 12. It has a tin roof that you can see the sun coming through. And her mother was there. Her mother, Layla, was there. And so she starts, Layla, obviously, her mother starts to be a little bit, she's a little bit distracted. She's trying to clean up, and she's trying to do all these different things. And I couldn't believe the contrast of the joy of this little girl who's being loved on, who's being mentored as a child. And then there was her mother, who she looked up onto a shelf, and she picked up her passport. I'm sitting there going, why is she getting her passport? Passport was probably 15 years expired. And she said, hey, take a look at this. I used to be beautiful. And I was crushed. And it made me I left that place sitting there thinking, man, what can I do to never let someone think that it's their appearance that makes them beautiful? So for some of you, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with anything? Well, we've been a part of an organization called Compassion International for a number of years. And Compassion International is a child sponsorship program that specializes in reversing the cycle of poverty. It believes that by pouring into the youth of these countries, that they'll be able to raise up the next Mother Teresas, the next Billy Grahams, the next prime ministers, presidents, senators, and they'll be able to transform these countries from the inside out. And I heard a very cool story about a young boy whose name was Richmond, and Richmond was born in Uganda, and he was born into a fairly affluent family, but at a very young age, Richmond's father was actually murdered. And that with that murder went all of the provision for the family. And they were forced to move into the slums. And I don't know if you guys have been on a trip and experienced the slums before, but the slums is just unthinkable difficulty, 24/7, just unthinkable difficulty. And Richmond's mother started asking her the question, how do I get my family out of this? How do I get my family out of extreme poverty? She ended up hearing about the local Compassion International project, and Richmond ended up getting accepted into that program. He was in that program for a number of years, and he ended up graduating with a high school diploma over there. He then got his bachelor's degree over there. He came to the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago and got his master's, and I just heard of this boy who is now a man. He actually just graduated with his doctorate right here in the United States of America. Isn't that cool? Moments, we're going to have the opportunity to sponsor some children here tonight. And for some of you, actually all of you, should have gotten this like really cool little card here in your seat. It's pretty cool, right? It looks cool, it's a little shiny, it's got like metal on it, you know, and in the back, there's a QR code, all right? And if you scan the QR code with me, it actually pulls up to a kind of little menu where there's all sorts of fun activities there. You can see concert pics after the show's finished, there's merch ideas on there, there's all sorts of, it's kind of your ticket to be able to explore different things for the night. There's like an AR experience, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, you can also sponsor a child, and I wanted to read to you, and wanted to just do this actually with you. I want to scan it, I want to read to you about one of these kids here that I just pulled up here. This is, if you scan it, it links to it, and you can kind of see it all. We're all like real high tech here for Camp Country, let me tell you, all right? This is little Edison, right here on my phone. Little Edison, and you get to read up a little bit about these kids. If you press, that link, obviously you're not committing to anything, you're just doing what I'm doing, which is just reading about it. It says, little Edison is 9 years old, lives in Ecuador with his father, 3 sisters and a brother. He loves football games, group games, and a rolling ball. That's kind of nice. And at the Compassion Center, he enjoys listening to the Bible, stories, snacks, and mealtime. Edison writes in Spanish. And I looked down the bottom here, and it actually says the reason why his mother isn't in the picture, it's actually because his mother passed away not too long ago. And so obviously in this scenario, you have a father who is looking after 3 girls and a little boy. And the mother passed away not too long ago. I mean, the need is just insane. And for some of you here tonight, you might be thinking to yourself, man, look, I love the thought of sponsoring a child, but I just can't afford it. And here's what I would say to you. If you get together with just 2 friends tonight, yourself and 2 friends, it would be about $13 a month, and you have a child's life, just like Edison's, changed for forever. Maybe tonight you came with a youth group or a small group or some sort of group, and sponsor a child as a group, and take up a fund once a month, and you have a child's life, just like Edison's, changed for forever. Probably the most powerful way that I've seen child sponsorship take place is actually through families. When I was a young boy, my parents sponsored a child. They put the picture of the child up on the refrigerator. Every time I go get milk, orange juice, or food, I was reminded of the fact there were other kids in this world who didn't have that ability. But yet that I could make a difference. I could go and I could sponsor a child. I could go do something. I could go rake leaves. I could go mow lawns, and I could do something. So as I said, in just a few moments, you're going to have the opportunity to sponsor a child. Obviously, one way is by taking this card and scanning the QR code. And once you scan that QR code, it'll take you to kind of a little bit of a menu. You guys can actually do that right now if you wanted to. If you were just interested, you're not committing to anything, but if you're interested in sponsoring a child, scan that QR code and click on sponsor a child. You can read up about one of these kids. And the other way to sponsor a child tonight, very, very simple. These are just 2 very simple ways. Either scan that QR code, or you can text the word drummer to 83393, and we will send you a virtual child pack to just text it to you, and you can click on it. And once again, if you just follow through all the steps, you can sponsor a child that way. And we're doing something very, very special here tonight, and that's this. If you sponsor a child, we've got kind of a little bit of a goodie bag here, all right? We've got several things here. One of them being, we released a Drummer Boy Christmas Live last year, and as a DVD, we wanted to give you guys that. We also wanted to give you guys our deluxe album of What Are We Waiting For? There's also this pretty cool little Drummer Boy Christmas ornament that we wanted to give you, and this is the first time we've ever done this. There's a Fakian Country coloring activity book, which is kind of fun. It sounds, see, people like this stuff. I thought it was a little interesting as well, okay? But people like this stuff. So if you sponsor a child tonight, we want to give to you guys as you give, well, this is a little awkward as well, as you give to these kids. And we want to make sure that you guys leave with a little bit of a gift from us. So that's that coloring book, the DVD, the CD, and the Christmas ornament. And as I said, to sponsor a child in just a moment, the way that you do it is you scan that QR code, or you can do the text to sponsor option. Oftentimes people wonder, Luke, why do you take time out of your concert to talk about Compassion International? Why don't you just play more Christmas songs? Some of you thought that. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. Here's the deal. I was much like one of these kids. Some of you know my story, but I was much like one of these kids when I first came to America. And if it wasn't for people like yourselves who gave to me and my family, if it wasn't for people like yourselves who gave generously to me and my family, I would not be sitting up here on this stage. And second of all, I say this, I will never grow tired of advocating for children who are in desperate need of food, clothing, and education, and most of all, who are in desperate need of Jesus Christ in their life. Yeah? So right now, all across this auditorium, if you wanted to sponsor a child, what you would do is you would take that card, scan the QR code, and you guys can go ahead and do that right now as we speak. Scan that QR code, or you can text the word drummer to 83313. As soon as you have completed that, we actually have some volunteers on every floor that they've got these blue aprons on, and they have your little gift bag. And so you can either go and meet them during intermission, or you raise your hand, but they would like to come and give you that special gift. And they're on every floor. They got blue aprons on, and it's got the Compassion logo on it as well. If you need one of these little tickets also, just raise your hand. And if you need any help, just raise your hand. The volunteers are here to help you out however that might be. But go ahead and scan that QR code and follow through all the promptings, or you can text the word drummer to 83393. I'll just keep talking for just 2 more minutes while you guys do it. One of the coolest things about Compassion International is you actually get to write letters back and forth to these kids. And our Compassion child, Diego, lives in El Salvador, and we got to go visit him not too long ago. We went and played games with them. I got to go and play soccer, went to a water park, did all sorts of fun and amazing things. And you would never believe it, but the letters that we had sent back and forth for years and years had built up this friendship to where when I said goodbye to him, he looked up at me and I said, man, I love you, I'm proud of you, and it's time for us to go goodbye. He pulled down my neck and he gave me a kiss on the cheek. That's the level of friendship and mentorship and relationship that you have with these people. So once again, if you want to sponsor a child, scan that QR code, click the link, sponsor a child, follow through all the steps, and if you also want the other option, text to sponsor, text the word drummer to 83393. The volunteers have the gift bags, and you guys will be all set. We're going to break for about a 15-minute intermission, and we'll be right back with more music. Thank you guys very much.